Luther was in the midst of the biggest tour of his career. It was also the most tumultuous. He shared the bill with smoky female R&B singer Anita Baker, who had scored a big hit with her 1986 album, Rapture. However, in nearly every way except music, the two were mismatched. Like H3 plus O, Luther once joked. Predictably, things started off badly and grew intolerable. It all began with a proposed duet the two were scheduled to sing at the 1987 Grammys. Luther was up for 2 awards, Best R&B Male Vocal and Best R&B Song, both for Give Me the Reason. This was encouraging, since he had failed to win twice more since his first devastating loss in the Best New Artist category in 1982. Anita, on the other hand, was already a Grammy darling, winning 2 for her album, Rapture. Though she was a relative newcomer, Anita's career was quickly becoming a model for the kind of success Luther wanted. In addition to her Grammys, Anita had sold 5 million copies of Rapture, more than 3 million more than the biggest Luther record. These numbers showed that she was a hit with the pop market that Luther still struggled to crack. Her songs like Sweet Love showed up on top television shows like the quick-witted romance Moonlighting. Luther was both admiring of Anita's success and a bit envious. Anita, for her part, was an unlikely success story. Standing just over 5 feet in heels and sporting a short, practical haircut, Anita lacked the glamour of most R&B queens, and she sang with a slurring, eccentric phrasing. Her style and sound shouldn't have worked, but it did. Luther pitched Anita on singing the sweet Marvin Gaye Tammy Terrell classic, Your Precious Love. To rehearse, they met at his Los Angeles mansion. They sat in his dining room and practiced their parts until they came up with an arrangement that they thought would really knock people out. Yet on the morning of the show, Anita changed her mind about singing with Luther. Instead, she chose to sing jazz great Billie Holiday's God Bless the Child as a tribute to the late gardenia-wearing singer. Producers of the show didn't balk because, in their mind, Anita was the bigger star. Luther suddenly went from being a performer to getting cut from the show. On top of that, the night marked his 4th Grammy loss. He next saw Anita during the summer at the Cool Jazz Festival in Cincinnati, Ohio. She performed immediately before him, and she opened with his hit song, Stop to Love. And then she sang it again to close her set. Luther, of course, felt he would look like a nut if he sang the tune again, even though it was his song. He was furious. Nevertheless, when his handlers tried to sell him on doing a co-headlining tour with Anita, he couldn't deny that it seemed like a smart business idea. Luther and Anita shared many of the same fans, lovers of smooth R&B, and Anita might also draw some of her pop fans, who would then be exposed to Luther. The two stars signed on for a 30-city tour that would take them through the end of 1988 and into 1989. Although Anita would go on first, they received equal billing. The concerts soon proved as lucrative as promoters expected. As soon as tickets went on sale for most shows, they immediately sold out. Fans were overcome with excitement over the pairing of these two beloved talents. "It's like you died and went to heaven," one woman told the Chicago Sun-Times. Luther and Anita both talked up the tour in the press. Anita promised a night of mushy-mushy, kissy-face love songs, and Luther stated that he wanted the show to leave people saying, "Child, please, that was fabulous." The months leading up to the tour kickoff were worrisome for Anita. She had yet to finish the follow-up to Rapture, and it was critical that she have a new album to promote when she was out on the road. Rapture was nearly 2 years old. Anita, however, would not let go of any of the songs she was recording. She kept mixing and remixing them, trying all new arrangements, and then trashing them. She was so past deadline that her manager took some unfinished tapes to the mastering company, where the album was put together on one reel to get it ready for release. When she discovered what he'd done, she went right to the company, demanded back everything with her name on it, and insisted they destroy the work they'd already done. Anita was earning a reputation for being difficult, but she didn't care. "People still think I'm temperamental, But it's just that I know what I want, and I not only ask for it, I demand it, she said. Some people have problems with that, and that's too bad. This is my life and my music, and it should be done the way I want to do it. The tour, dubbed The Heat, opened on Wednesday, September 28th at the Capitol Center, just outside of Washington, D.C. Things felt weird from the start. Since they'd had past tensions, the backstage area was coordinated so that the two stars would have very little contact with each other. Whenever Luther entered the venue, security people were under strict orders to seal off Anita's dressing room area. Curtains were placed backstage to separate the two camps. Even their respective guest list tickets were for seats in different sections of the auditorium. The tensions weren't reserved for backstage, however. At that first show, Luther fired the initial shot in what would be an ongoing feud between these two co-headliners. He took the stage and said, "Let's hear a round of applause for my opening act, Anita Baker." Anita was furious. She was no opening act. She was as much of a headliner on this tour as he was. This wasn't just a question of ego. It was also potentially messing with her money. If promoters thought she was an opening act, her drawing price went down. Her manager issued a statement. The contracts clearly state that they are co-headliners, co-stars sharing everything: advertising, billing, facilities, dressing rooms. We agreed that Luther would close every show, and Anita was happy to agree to that because she had never worked big arenas. But in every other sense, they are co-headliners. Luther's manager pointedly responded, "I don't consider her an opening act, but she is on before him." Critics, when reviewing the show, fanned the flames. They scored the show like a fight. Sometimes Anita was the victor. Other times, it was Luther. The Los Angeles Times wrote, "Anita Baker steals the show from headliner Vandross." In Texas, the Dallas Morning News Tonight exclaimed that Vandross came out the distinct winner at the Reunion Arena. Then a reviewer for the Chicago Tribune offered Luther a stinging bit of backhanded praise when he wrote, "It was Beauty and the Beast Tuesday night at the Rosemont Horizon. Let's hear it for the Beast." Things degenerated further from there. Luther continuously asked Anita to sing a duet with him. Fans were asking for it. Even critics said it would improve the show. But Anita consistently refused. As the tour continued, Luther started growing frustrated that while Anita's record was soaring up the pop charts, his Any Love album had stalled.